Hello everyone, this is SyntaxError and welcome back to another coding tutorial. And in this tutorial, we are going to be creating a machine gun bow. So if you go ahead and run the command with machine gun bow, it will give us this machine gun bow with custom text and everything. And if we go ahead and give ourselves some arrows, and if we left click, it will consume up the arrows in our inventory and it will shoot out the arrows of 5 arrows a second for 5 seconds. However, if we do not have any arrows in our inventory, it just won't work. So yeah, with that, let's get straight into the coding then. All right, for the coding part, we are back in our custom items plugin, which we've been doing for the past few weeks. And so basically, this is just a continuous to the series. And the first thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to create the item first. We're going to head into our item manager. We're going to create the item stack first. Then the code that we're going to type in is public static item stack. We're going to call it machine gun bow. We're going to scroll all the way down and we are going to create how the item will look like. So private static void, the wrong spelling, private static void, and we're going to we're going to call it create machine gun bow. That's the wrong spelling. And we're going to put our brackets and our curly brackets. The first step we're going to do is item stack item equals to a new item stack, and in the brackets we're going to put its material, which in this case will be a bow. So material bow, and we're going to put its amount as 1. We're going to get the item meta now. So item meta equals to a new equals to item dot get item meta. Then we're going to set the display name now. So how the item, what the item's name is basically. So meta dot set display name, and in the bracket we're going to put the name of the item. Copy this color code here and paste it in. I'm going to change the 5 to a 9 so that it's going to be blue. I'm going to put it as a machine. Actually, do not know right spelling from, that's the wrong word. Machine gun bow. And then we're going to create a lore. So list and angle bracket, put a string in. Lore is slightly different because we have to create an array list. I'm going to name it as a lore equals to a new array list, and why do I keep spelling things wrongly? Array list, put an angle bracket and put our normal brackets, semicolon, lore dot add. We're gonna put our speech marks, paste in our color code again, call it rare, something like Hypixel Skyblocks machine gun bow. Put lore dot add, paste in the color code. Instead of 5, we're gonna put a 6 for gold in color. And we're gonna put it as left click, which is technically what what you have to do to activate the ability of the item. Then lore.add, and we're gonna put the function of the item now. So we're gonna change the 5 to 7, make it gray in color. Then we're gonna put shoots 5 arrows second for 5 seconds. The lore might be slightly long, but it's fine. Should be fine. Then once we've added the last line of lore, all we have to do is meta.set lore, and in the bracket we can put our lore. Then not the last step. Item.set item meta, and we're gonna put meta inside the bracket. And over here we're gonna put, which is now the last step, machine gun bow equals to our item. We're gonna put our semicolon. Now we're going to scroll all the way up to our init class. It's this one. It stands for initialization. And we're going to put create machine gun bow. All right, so that's the item created, and the init class is in the main class. So if this is the first time, this is what we'll have to do. We have to put in item manager.init. So we call in the class. The next step we're gonna do is we're gonna do the commands for the item. We're gonna do the give command. So all this we have gone through in like the first episode of this series. So the link will be down in the description. Is the creating a grappling hook one. We have to remember that always when we are having a commands class, we have to implement the command executor. And we have all these things here. The thing that we're gonna want to type in is if our cmd dot get name, which means that if our command that the player type equals ignore case, I'm gonna put a command here which is give machine gun bow. I'm gonna put the curly brackets, put player, which is the sender of the command, player dot get inventory dot get dot add item, and we're gonna put item manager dot machine gun bow in the brackets. I'm gonna put our semicolon. We have to remember semicolon is very important. Then the next step we're gonna do is we're gonna head into our main class. And we are gonna list our command again. So this get command, and whatever we type in this, we have to follow back whatever we typed here. So I'm gonna copy and paste that just in case I'll get some spelling wrong or something. I'll set executor, and in the brackets we're gonna put new commands. Put our semicolon as usual. So whatever the commands class is, we have to put it here. The last step will be to head into our plugin.yml. I'm gonna go under our commands, and we're gonna put give machine gun bow colon description as gives a machine gun bow to the player. Its usage will be slash command. That's small letter. There we go. So that's all the commands done. Now we're gonna head into the items function. Now, instead of following the format of what we used to do in previous episodes and put our item function in the item events class, it's going to be slightly different. We're going to create an entirely new class for the machine gun bow, and that is because it's slightly different from all these things. And the reason being, we have to create a bucket scheduler. We're going to go to that in a bit. We're going to create our class first. We're going to call it machine gun bow event. And we're just going to create, and we have to remember an events class will always have to implement a listen. That's the wrong, my bad. We'll always have to implement a listener. Now the first thing that we're going to want to do, instead of just going straight into add event handler, we're going to have to type in the name of our plugin first. So in this case, the name of my plugin is custom items. So I'm just going to type in custom items, and we're going to put plugin directly next to it and put our semicolon. Then over here, we're going to put public, and we're going to put the events class name, which is machine gun bow event. And that's capitalization. Now that's the wrong capitalization. That's again machine gun bow event. I'm gonna put a bracket, then we're gonna put the name of our plugin again. So custom items, we're gonna put plugin, then outside we're gonna put our curly brackets, then we're gonna put this dot plugin equals to plugin. We're gonna need to use this in a bit for our bucket scheduler. So then next thing that we're gonna do is we are gonna create the add event handler now. So at event handler, public void on click, you can name it whatever you want. This one, per bracket, player interact event, an event. Then we're gonna put our curly brackets and import the player interact event. Now we're gonna check if the player is left clicking. So if our event.getAction dot equals to action dot left click error. And we're going to put these two, which stands for or, event.getAction dot equals to action dot left click block. They are two different things. This one will run if the player clicks on error. It's basically an error block. This one is only will only run if the player clicks on a solid block. Then when the player left clicks, it will run whatever is inside here. So we're gonna check whether the player is holding a machine gun bow or not. So if event.getPlayer dot get inventory dot get item in main hand, okay, this is gonna be a bit long, so get item meta dot get display name. That's the wrong. That's not the correct one. Dot get display name, and then we're gonna put dot equals. Then inside this equals, we're gonna put our speech marks. Then we're gonna go back into our item manager. And we're gonna copy and paste whatever set its name as, because I don't want to make any syntax errors. So paste that in. Put our okay. We're gonna put our curly brackets. Then whatever code is inside here will run only if the player is holding a machine gun bow. And we are gonna do that by comparing whether or not the player is holding whether the item the player is holding name is machine gun bow. Then the next thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna create a new bookit runnable. So new bookit runnable, and then we are going to do our curly brackets, and we're gonna create a timer. So int timer equals to 25, and I'm gonna explain why it's 25 in a bit. So we're gonna go ahead and type in at override first, and then public void run with a bracket and our curly brackets. And inside, we're going to check whether or not the player has at least one arrow in their inventory. So every time our item wants to shoot an arrow out, as its ability is going to consume an arrow, and it's going to check whether or not the player will have an arrow left in their inventory. So if event.getPlayer.getInventory dot contains at least, it has to be contains at least, otherwise if the player has more than one arrow, it will not run. So new item stack, and we're going to put its material as an arrow, and we're just going to import the item stack. We're going to import material. I'm going to put 1. Yeah, then we're going to put that's the wrong one. We're going to put our curly brackets, which means that if the player has an arrow, then only it will shoot an arrow out. So the first thing that we're going to do is location I. We're going to import location, alternate enter. Yes, oh, there are more than one class to import. So location I equals to our event.getPlayer.getILocation. In colon, location lock, capitalization, location lock equals to our I.add I.getDirection dot multiply by 1.2. Then now we're going to spawn in the arrow. So arrow equals to, we're going to import this arrow class first. Put bracket arrow to make sure that it's an arrow, and lock.getWorld dot spawn entity. This will spawn an entity in our world in the location of lock, and it's gonna be an arrow, our semicolon, and import entity type. There we go. Now we are going to set the velocity. So we are going to want the arrow to move. So arrow dot set velocity. In the brackets, we're going to put lock dot get direction dot normalize dot multiply by 2. I'm going to put the semicolons. Then we're going to set the shooter. That's our event dot get player. Semicolon. Then the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to remove an arrow from the player's inventory. So every time the ability shoots, an arrow will be removed from the player's inventory. So get player dot get inventory dot remove item, and in the brackets we're going to create a new item stack, and we're going to put its material as an arrow. Then put this semicolon. Very important. If we're going to exit the if statement, put timer minus minus, which means that you'll minus 1 from the 25 and it will keep going. So timer minus minus, and if our timer hits 0, we are going to want to cancel. We're going to want to cancel it so it doesn't lag out the server. Then we're going to go and trace this line and go here. We're going to put dot run task timer, and we're going to put our plugin, which is from this lines of codes here. And we're going to put a comma, put its delay as 0, L for long, and put its period as 4L. Put our semicolon finally. And now we're gonna go through the math on why it's 0, why it's 4, why it's 25. So basically, we want the bow to shoot 5 arrows every 1 second, and we know that every second there are 20 ticks. So we're gonna take 20 divided by 5, and we're gonna get 4. We're gonna put 4 here, and technically for this 25, since we're gonna shoot 5 arrows every second for 5 seconds, so we take 5 multiplied by 5, and it will give us the 25 that we need. So with the math out of the way, the last step will be to go into our main class and to register the event. So we're gonna go here. It's gonna be slightly different. So this dot get server dot get plugin manager dot register events. We're gonna put new machine gun bow event, and we're gonna put the plugin here. So this, I'm gonna go outside the bracket, you can put comma and put this again. That's basically done, and the function is done as well. So I'm gonna see you in the test server then. All right, we are back in our test server, and if we go ahead and run the command give machine gun bow, it'll give us the machine gun bow, and it will have all the custom lore, custom names, and everything. And if we go ahead and left click without any arrows in our inventory, nothing will happen. However, if we give ourselves some arrows and we left click, it will shoot 5 arrows a second for 5 seconds. So I guess that's the machine gun bow then. Well, that's it for today's video, I guess. So if you did enjoy this episode, please leave a like and subscribe. That would be greatly appreciated. And if you would like me to do more of these types of content, feel free to leave a comment down below to state whatever you want me to code into Minecraft next. And with that all said, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you when I see you in the next video. Bye!